So now we're going to decide if any of those scores on the driver's test are actually outliers. So we have all the scores listed out, and I already listed them in order. And so we're going to find the median. Remember the median, we just split it in half. We find the middle number, and in this case we actually have a middle number. So our median is 23. And then we've got to find quartile 1 and quartile 3. So what we do is we split the bottom in half. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that means 19 here would be halfway in between, right? Because there's 4 below and 4 above. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, so 24 would be the middle there because we have 4 numbers below it and 4 numbers above it. So we have our 5-number summary, 5, 19, 23, 24, and 25. So what is our interquartile range? How far is it for that middle half, that middle 50% of our data? How far is it from 19 to 24? Well, remember, we just subtract them because this is just basic math. How far are they away on the number line? We subtract them and we get 5. So the interquartile range is 5. That means from the lowest point of our 50% to the highest point on our 50%, it's 5, if that makes sense. So they're spread out. The middle 50% of our data has a range of 5. So then we have to figure out what is 1.5 times that. So, just for giggles here, I'm going to draw my my box plot. So I've got a max of 25, a min of 5. We're going to call that, let's see, I've got a quartile 1 of 19, a quartile 3 of 24, and a median of 23. There we go, that's about right. So here we go, we're looking at what's the range here. The range here is 5. So again, what we're going to say is, okay, when we're 1.5 times lower than this quartile 1, it's going to be considered an outlier. Or if it's 1.5 times the interquartile range higher than this quartile 3, then it's going to be considered an outlier. So we figure out what is 1.5 times 5. Well, it is 7.5. So what I'm saying is if I go this way, so this is 19 right here. If I go this way, 7.5, anything past that, anything below is going to be considered an outlier. And then I'm telling you the same thing. If I start here and I go 7.5 this way, anything above that is going to be considered an outlier. So any number above 7.5 steps this way, or 7.5, or below 7.5 steps this way is considered an outlier. So what is it? 7.5 steps this way would be 11.5. So our kind of like stopping point for this one would be 11.5. So any number below 11.5 is going to be considered an outlier. And then what is it 7.5 steps this way from this third quartile? Well, that is 31.5. So anything above 31.5 would also be considered an outlier. So let's look at our data set. Here's our data set. We have it graphed out. And so 11.5 is right here. 31.5 is right up here. And so anything below this point or above this point, anything below here or above here, is going to be considered an outlier. So where are our outliers? Well, it's these 3 points, 5, 7, and 10.